Good evening, District 47 Toastmasters and guests. Distinguished Toastmaster Joe Grondin is a retired educator and is now with the guidance of his Toastmaster family, fulfilling his dream of being an international inspirational speaker. He is the author of the books Living in Harmony with Our Children and Speak to Reach. And he has been asked to speak throughout North America and these topics. Joe is a feel good type of guy and takes every opportunity to dance in public, much to the dismay of his wife and his two children. Joe is a proud Toastmaster, and he truly believes that Toastmaster audience are the best audience in the world. I second that. He has been so busy traveling the globe to pursue his passions. Recent destinations include Malaysia, Washington, D.C., and Las Vegas to participate in Toastmasters International World Championship of Public Speaking. Having qualified 7 times for the World Championship of Public Speaking, he has successfully placed in the top 10 on 2 occasions. Joe is a 3-time TEDx speaker, a TEDx coach, and is one of 89 people in the world who has earned the prestigious accredited speaker destination from Toastmasters International in 2017. Joe admits that his biggest accomplishment is getting hugs from his grandchildren. His keynote presentation is titled Dig Deep. Please help me welcome to our Reimagine Conference distinguished Toastmaster Joe Grondin.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Fellow Toastmasters and friends from District 47, because now I can call you my friend. I remember it like it was yesterday. I am sitting in an auditorium with 6,000 other teachers, listening to a professional, inspirational speaker, delivering the keynote address, inspiring me to think differently. That was the same day that I reimagined myself as a professional, inspirational speaker. I go home and I say to my wife, I want to be a professional, inspirational speaker. And she says, join Toastmasters. I said, great. What's Toastmasters? Wanting to be a professional, inspirational speaker and actually becoming a professional, inspirational speaker is another thing. You see, by nature, I am shy, introverted, wouldn't say boo if my life depended on it. And if it wasn't for Mrs. Elliott, I never would have embarked on this journey of becoming a professional, inspirational speaker. You see, my mother told me that I was the prettiest baby in the world. Raise your hand if you were told you were the prettiest baby in the world. Oh, yeah. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever been a baby. Go ahead. Oh, I'm proud that my mother thinks that I was the prettiest baby in the world until I find a picture of me as a baby. And it's not pretty. For those of you who are Lord of the Ring fans, I look like a baby Smeagol. And if you don't know what a Smeagol looks like, Google it. Not pretty. It didn't get much better when I go to school. I live 5 minutes away from my school. It takes me at least a half an hour to get there. Why? I'm either being roughed up by a bully because I look different, or I'm taking the long way around to hide from the bullies. On top of that, I'm not the brightest crayon in the box. The closest I ever come to a good grade is the straight A student sitting right next to me. What's up? I remember parent-teacher interviews. Mr. Jones, my teacher, invites me into the classroom with my parents to show my well below average marks. Right before my eyes, my parents go into a depression. Until Mr. Jones says, there is good news. My parents looked up in shock. I wait in anticipation. Yes, good news. Happy parents, happy life. He looks at my parents and says, at least we know your son is not cheating. Thanks. I think. I always wanted to hang out with the cool kids. You know, the ones that look like they have it all together. I would even try and get close to them so people would think that I'm part of the cool kids group. But they would chase me away and throw rocks. And on the odd occasion, they would connect. Like, ouch. I remember going into school one day, feeling down in the dumps. And Mrs. Elliott, my favorite teacher, I would tell her anything. Sensing there's something wrong. She says, Joey, because that's what they called me back then. Joey, what's the matter? We sit down and I say, Mrs. Elliott, I'm an unchild. I'm unattractive. I'm unintelligent. I'm uncool. I'm unhappy. I said, I can't wait till I get smarter. I can't wait till I become better looking. I can't wait till I'm cool, because then I'll be happy and successful. And Mrs. Elliott smiles and says, Joey, don't wish your life away. Your happiness and your success totally depends on you. She says, Joey, I can teach you 4 lessons that will help you be happy and successful. Do you want to hear those lessons? And I said, please. She looks at me and says, Joey, 1, the sun, 2 eyes, 3 triangle, 4 square. 1 sun, 2 eyes, 3 triangle, 4 square. She says, Joey, 1, the sun, like the sun shines down on us. Find what shines in you that will put a smile on your face that you'll want to do again and again and again. 2, eyes. Focus on the possible. Know and believe anything is possible. Past international president Deepak Menon said everything is possible in Toastmasters. When you open up those gates to possibilities, you open up the gates to happiness and success. 3, triangle. Mrs. Elliott said that the triangle is the strongest shape of all. Strengthen your triangle of happiness and success by paying attention to all 3 sides of your triangle. Side number 1, embrace and celebrate your differences. Side number 2, take the time to lift others up because it will lift you up. And side number 3, now, Joy, I want you to pay attention to this. Side number 3, be at peace knowing that you are enough. That's 3, triangle. 4, square. Joey, don't let the world box you into negativity. Think outside the box. Think positive, because positive thinkers get it done. And positive thinking is the universal language of happiness. So, Joey, whenever the world knocks you down and you're struggling to find happiness and success, always, always remember, 1, the sun, 2 eyes, 3, triangle, 4, square. I still remember those valuable life lessons. And I get reminded almost every day of each one of those lessons. But you see, what I realized on my Toastmaster journey, Mrs. Elliott taught me those valuable lessons. But Toastmasters guided me to dig deep, to uncover all of those lessons. So I walked through that door for the first time, shy, introverted, wouldn't say boo if my life depended on it, equipped with Mrs. Elliott's lessons. And lo and behold, I realized on my 20-year journey in Toastmasters, Toastmasters guided me to dig deep for those lessons. For instance, one, the sun. Like the sun shines down on us, find what shines within us. That will put a smile on your face. You'll want to do again and again and again. I have to admit, I was reminded of that lesson by my granddaughter, Dahlia. Now I want you to picture my granddaughter, Dahlia, is sitting on my lap. And she looks at me and she says, Papa, close your eyes. So I close my eyes. And she clips this on my nose. She says, now, Papa, open your eyes. So I open my eyes and I see this huge thing hanging from my nose. But if you could have seen the pure happiness in her face and the word that made it worthwhile. Again, again, and again. She clipped this on my lip, my tongue, my chin, my ear, my eyebrow. By the time we were finished, I had a very sore face. To find what shines, Toastmasters has us dig deep for that shine. Because when I walked through that door for the first time, they gave me a mentor. Her name is the late Shirley Kelly, former district governor. I could not have asked for a better mentor because she asked me what I wanted to do. I said, I want to be a professional inspirational speaker. And she said, okay, let's get started. And Shirley guided me to dig deep to find what shines within me. And lo and behold, what shines within me is speaking. And all of those shiny tools that help me become a speaker. And this puts a smile on my face every day that I want to do again, again, and again. And that's why I am so happy to be here, because I want to do this again and again and again. That's one, the sun. Two, eyes. Focus on the possible. Know and believe that anything is possible. Opening up those doors to possibilities, happiness, and success. And again, I have to admit, I get reminded. I have 3 grandchildren. I follow them around with a notebook. My grandson, Xavier, oh, he's the cutest little boy. But whenever he's given a task, he has possibility written all over his face. He doesn't know the definition of impossible. He just was potty trained. He's running around the house. And he comes up to me and he says, Papa, I have a dream. He says, I have a dream. I said, okay, Xavier, what's your dream? He said, Papa, I want to pee standing up like Daddy. I got to tell you, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is impossible. But I bring him to the washroom. I stand him up on a stool. I lift the toilet seat because I'm told that's important to do. And I say to Xavier, I said, Xavier, can you aim to the middle of the toilet? He said, yes, Papa. I said, okay. So I leave him to do his business. I wait till he's finished, give him his privacy. I go back to see how he did. And as expected, there is more pee on the floor than in the toilet. I said, Xavier, could you not have at least hit the middle of the toilet? Now I want you to picture this big blue-eyed boy looking up at me and saying, Papa, do you know how hard it is to steer this thing? I learned never to underestimate the power of a floating Cheerio. You throw one of those suckers in the toilet, all of a sudden it becomes possible for him to pee standing up like his daddy. You see, Toastmasters guides us to dig deep to find that possible. And we have many, many examples of people who find the possible. I was fortunate enough to share the stage in the finals of 2015 World Champion of Public Speaking, sharing the stage with Mohammed Katani, the year he won the World Championship of Public Speaking. I'm not bitter. He deserved to win. But what I remember the most, sitting in an audience of 2,000 people, he gives his acceptance speech. And he shares with all of us that for the first 4 or 5 years of his life, he was mute. couldn't speak a word. And to this day, he still struggles with stuttering. And there he stands, world champion of public speaking. But what I remember the most, and I thought he was talking to me directly. He said, if this is possible for me, it's possible for you. Anything is possible. Everything is possible. 2, eyes. 3, triangle. To strengthen our triangle of happiness and success is to pay attention to the 3 sides to our triangle. First side is to embrace and celebrate our differences. Toastmasters International is a global organization. And that's exactly what we do in Toastmasters, is we celebrate and embrace our differences across cultures. We're all different. And that is such a wonderful asset of this planet Earth. And we have examples of people leading differently, communicating differently, doing evaluations differently. You watch the 2014 World Championship of Public Speaking, Dhananjaya Hederachi, using a rose and the catchphrase, I see something in you, but I just don't know what it is. I will always remember. And Muhammad Khatani walking on stage with a cigarette and a lighter, going to light. And those of you who are in the audience, it's different. We're all different. You see, Toastmasters International, along with Shirley Kelly, had me dig deep to have the confidence to celebrate our differences. And as you can see, I like to wear different clothing. My wife and I are in a clothing store because I wanted to pick something out for our district conference. I walk in and I see this jacket. Oh, you can imagine how excited I was. I tried it on, looked in the mirror. Yes, that's me. That's different. Now my wife is on the other end of the clothing store, the farthest away that she could be. I've never seen a woman move so quick to get to me, seeing me try on this jacket. And she looked at me and I looked at her and said, what do you think of the jacket? She said, it is different. I looked at the price tag, $19.99. Woo-hoo! So I buy 2. Oh yeah. And I remember going to the district conference with this jacket on. Our guest was past International President Richard Peck. We drum up a friendship. He loves my jacket. He says, Joe, let's trade jackets. We'll take pictures. And it drew a lot of comments and fun. And I've got pictures of him and I changing jackets. But it's amazing the reaction when we do something different. One gentleman walked by me, took one look at me and said, did you lose a bet? and an elderly woman walks up to me and she said, my mother has curtains that look just like that jacket. And I will never, ever forget. I was at a district conference. I was doing a keynote. I told him the story about this jacket. And a gentleman with all seriousness came up to me and he said, you paid $19.99 too much for that jacket. Always embrace and celebrate our differences. And this is why I wear different clothing, to celebrate our differences. Side number 2, take the time to lift up, because it will lift us up. And isn't that what Toastmasters is all about? I heard Deepak Menon's keynote about we rarely ever get no when we ask for help, because people in Toastmasters, they want to lift us up. And I know that there were many people, Marlene Smith and Deepak, and they told the story about table topics, and we all have our story about table topics. And I have mine. Unfortunately, the second meeting, table topics master comes over to me and he says, Joe, do you want to do table topics? And I said, sure, because I'm a yes person and I like to please people, not really knowing what table topics was all about. When it comes time for me to answer a question that I know nothing about, I realized at that moment one does not have to exercise in order to sweat profusely. I know runners, they talk about this second wind. You know, it's like euphoria. They can go forever. My second wind that night, hyperventilation. I take a deep breath in. I stand up and I deliver a 5-word table topic. I sit down in a pool of sweat and I let that breath out. I have to admit, nobody came up to me that day and said, "You could be a professional inspirational speaker." But what I do remember is Shirley Kelly, my mentor, coming over to me and saying, "Joey, great job." I said, "Shirley, were you in the same room when I delivered that table topic? I spoke 5 words. 3 of them were filler words." She looked at me and said, "Joe, I'm congratulating you on having the courage to stand up and do your first table topics. You are one step closer to your goal of being a professional inspirational speaker." And you know what? I could have walked out that room feeling very down on myself. But Shirley lifted me up. And when I walked out that door, I was on cloud 9, feeling very good about myself. And that's what Toastmasters International does. They have us dig deep so that we are always lifted up. And the third side, and the most important, according to Mrs. Elliott, the third side, know and be at peace that you are enough. I was encouraged to compete, try to be the world champion of public speaking. I'm not there yet, but I've lost more contests than I've won. I've made many mistakes and I'm down on the dumps. And like Mrs. Elliott, Shirley came up to me and said, "Joe, what's the matter?" I said, "Shirley, I don't know if I can do this. I'm making too many mistakes. I have too many weaknesses to be a professional inspirational speaker." And she said, "Joe, I want you to look back at your path at Toastmasters International. You have been to the finals of the World Championship of Public Speaking twice. You've got your DTM and you've got your accredited speaker designation. I want you to remember that Les Brown quote, 'Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.' And you've landed among a lot of stars." She says, "Joe, going forward, know that you are enough. Know that strive for perfection so you can achieve excellence. Strive for perfection so you can achieve excellence." Again, I'm walking out of that room, lifted up. 3, triangle, strengthen your triangle of happiness and success. And 4, square, don't let the world box you into negativity. Think outside the box. Think positive, because positive thinking is the universal language of happiness. And positive thinkers find a way to get it done. See, a positive psychologist proved there is a job called the positive psychologist, proved that our brains are wired for negative. But we can retrain our brain to think positive. You're probably thinking, "Well, Joe, if my brain is naturally wired for negative, why would I change it to positive?" You see, here's the thing. Positive thinkers are creative thinkers. They find a way when there's an obstacle in front of them. They find a way through the creative thought process by thinking positive. They find a way to either go around, over, or through the obstacle. Negative thinkers, there's usually one solution. It can't be done. It can't be done. But there's a place for negative thinkers because they have a gift for seeing an obstacle even before we see it. And then the positive thinkers come in and say, "You know what? I think Toastmasters International has collected all the positive thinkers in the world. I truly do. We have so many positive thinkers." Now, I started this about 20 years ago with my students in schools. And I make all my audiences a promise, and I make my students a promise that if they see me anywhere in the community and they say, "Mr. Grondin, how are you feeling?" I will do a happy dance to celebrate positive thinking. Oh, yeah. I'll show you what I mean. Now, you don't have to turn, you mute off or mute on. But on the count of three, I want you all to say, Joe, how you feeling? 1, 2, 3. I feel good. Oh, I feel so good. Huh. Oh, I feel so good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, why do I do that? Why do I do that? Well, when you walk into a school full of teenagers and they're there at 8:30 in the morning, and they had to catch a bus at 7, they're not very positive about being there. And those of you who have worked with teenagers or have teenagers, or just maybe you were a teenager, you know what I'm talking about. If you ask a teenager what time school should start, they're probably going to say 3 o'clock in the afternoon and finish at 3:05. But it takes one student to yell, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? And I'll go into my happy dance. And whenever I'm finished, guess what they're doing? They're laughing. They're smiling. They're having fun. And it's very hard when you're laughing, smiling, and having fun to be negative. The only problem when you go to the mall and you have your own 2 teenager children and somebody yells out, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? They disappear. I am no longer their father for the duration of that song and dance. But they come back because they want money. and I have a feeling my wife is getting a little tired of it. I've been doing it for more than 20 years. We're in a restaurant. I have my tray. My wife is behind me with her tray. And I know what you're thinking. Romantic dinner. I'm leading her to a table. Somebody yells out, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? My wife is behind me doing this. Go sit down, go sit down, go sit down. I do the dance. And I remember being in the mall and I'm going in the men's washroom. And one of my grade 5 students sees me going into the washroom. Now, you're probably getting ahead of me here. He opens the door, yells, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? He runs the other way. I am alone in the men's washroom doing my dance. When I get to the, oh yeah, an older gentleman walks in, takes one look at me and walks straight out again. But I have to tell you, we're all having a family meal in a 5-star restaurant. We're all dressed up, celebrating my son's birthday. And halfway through that meal, a young gentleman comes over to our table. He looks at me and says, is your name Mr. Grondin? At that point, my children knew what was coming, so they rolled their eyes. And I could have sworn I saw my wife roll her eyes. And I said, yes, I'm Mr. Grondin. He said, how are you feeling, Mr. Grondin? So I stand up in the middle of this 5-star restaurant. I do my dance. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I sit down. He says, thank you. He goes back to his table. And guess what he does? He collects a $20 bill from his father because he bet his father he could make me dance. Now, isn't that positive? But if you could have seen the ripple effect of the laughter, the smiles, the fun, and maybe for the duration of that song and dance, people forgot about the negative and started remembering the positive. And when you think about Toastmasters International, they have us dig deep to find that positive, because sometimes you have to dig really deep to find it. Whenever we fail, Toastmasters International is the best and most positive place to fail, because you're always going to walk out that door feeling uplifted. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this shy, introverted, wouldn't say boo if my life depended on it, reimagined himself as a professional, inspirational speaker, because Toastmasters had me dig deep to find those valuable lessons that Mrs. Elliott taught me. One, the sun. Like the sun shines down on us, find what shines within us. That puts a smile on your face that you want to do again and again and again. 2, eyes. Focus on the possible. Know and believe that anything is possible, because opening up those doors to possibilities is opening up those doors to happiness and success. 3, triangle. Exercise your triangle of happiness, strengthen your triangle of happiness by celebrating and embracing your difference, taking the time to uplift people, and it will uplift you. And last but not least, be at peace knowing that you are enough. And 4, square. Don't let the world box you into negativity. Think outside the box. Think positive, because positive thinkers find a way. And positive thinking is the universal language of happiness. My hope, my wish for all of us as we continue our journey in Toastmasters International, reimagining ourselves. Allow Toastmasters to guide you to dig deep so that you can find your shine, your possible, your strength, and your positive. Thank you so much, District 47, for inviting me, my new family. I so appreciate it. Words cannot express my gratitude. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Or Madam Toastmaster, my apologies.